Hi everyone! Today I have 4 drawing ideas you can use when you're bored, you have an art block, or you just simply want to draw something, but you don't know what to draw. I will show you 4 different themes and styles, so I hope I can inspire you to draw something. Let's start. I'm going to make an A4 canvas and I will divide it into 4 parts. If you want, you can do the same, or you can draw each drawing on a separate canvas. So here I have a color palette I will be using today. You can download it, link is in the description. And first I'm going to divide my canvas into 4 parts. I'm going to draw 4 rectangles. And to do that, let's turn on symmetry. Let's go to the Actions menu. Turn on Drawing Guide. Then pick Edit Drawing Guide. And here at the bottom pick Symmetry. And in the options pick Quadrant. Let's tap on Done. And now we can pick the color for the frame. First I'm going to use the black color and later I'm going to change it to white. Let's pick the brush. Let's go to calligraphy and take monoline brush. My brush size will be 13% and I'm going to draw here a rectangle. With one fast movement I'm drawing a rectangle like this. I'm holding my pencil and screen. And now you can pick here Edit Shape and make sure this will be a rectangle. You can move it now like that. And when you are happy with the position of it, tap with your finger on the screen. Let's color the frame with the color, like this. And now we can start drawing our first illustration. We are going to draw a night sky. So let's make a new layer for this. I'm going to start drawing on top of that frame. And later I will put everything under the frame. Let's change the color. Take this first one here. And first we are going to draw a rectangle here. That will be the base for the whole illustration here. I'm going to make sure that this is bigger than the frame space, like this. I'll make sure it's closed. And now I will color this inside. Okay, now let's make a new layer to start drawing the clouds. And now I want all the elements I'll be drawing to be visible only on that blue rectangle. So I'm going to set this to clipping mask. Let's change the color. Take this one here. And let's make the brush bigger, 35%. And we can draw an outline for the cloud like this. Let's draw lines here too, to close this shape. And now we can pick the color for the clouds inside. Let's take this one. And I'm going to make a new layer for this because later I want to add some gradient to that. So if I want to color this outline, I have to set this layer to reference. Now I'm going to make a new layer and move it under that reference layer. And now I can just drag and drop the color in there. Okay, now we can just turn off that reference. And we can make a new layer to draw 2 more clouds. Let's change the color. Take this one here. And draw 1 cloud here at the bottom. So here's 1 cloud, and another one maybe here, in the top corner. Now I want this to be under the other cloud, so I'll move this layer down there. And again I'm going to set this to reference and make a new layer to color this inside. I will take this color and drag and drop it in there. Now let's turn off the reference. And we can make a new layer to draw the moon. I want the moon to be behind the clouds, so I'll move this layer over here. And now I'm going to change the color. Let's take this one. And we can draw a circle. Hold your pencil on screen and now put your finger on screen to make this a perfect circle. Let's draw a smaller circle here. And now we can use this edit shape to move it somewhere like this. Tap with your finger on the screen to finish this, and now we can use the eraser to erase the lines we don't need. I'm going to set the razor to monoline 2. And I will raise it like that. Now I'm using the arrow tool to move it behind the cloud like this. And now I can color this inside. So let's set this to reference. Make a new layer, move it underneath that other one. And change the color. Take this one. Color this inside. Now we can add some gradient there. So first let's turn off the reference. And now let's tap on the layer of the color here and set this to alpha lock. Let's pick the color, take this one. And for the gradient we are going to change the brush. Let's go to airbrushing and pick soft brush. My brush size will be 11%. And I'm going to brighten this moon on this side like that. Now let's do the same for the clouds. So let's go to this cloud, set this to alpha lock, and pick the color. Let's take this one here, and color the bottom part of it, like that. And for the top cloud, I'm going to pick different color. Let's take this one, and color the top part. Now let's add the gradient also to this cloud. So let's go to this layer, set it to alpha lock, and we are going to use here this color. Now we can make those clouds more interesting. We can add some details inside them. So let's make a new layer for this. And this is already set as clipping mask. And we are going to change the blending mode here. Let's set this to overlay. Change the color to this one. Let's go back to the monoline brush. And we can draw some swirly lines like this. If you are enjoying this video and would like to support me and draw more of me, please check out my Patreon. Link is in the description. Let's do the same for the other clouds. So let's tap here, make a new layer above it, set this to overlay, and draw lines like that. Now we can draw some stars in this illustration. Let's make a new layer for this, on top of everything. Change the color to this one. Let's make the brush smaller, 12%. And we can draw a simple shape of the star like this. I'm going to make this into a shooting star. And then I'm going to draw some more normal stars here. Let's set this to reference now. And let's make a new layer. Put it underneath the reference layer. And I'm going to still change this layer also to clipping mask. And now let's go back to this one, pick the color, and color the stars inside. Let's maybe also draw some dots here as stars. Maybe some crosses like this. That should be enough. And now we can make the brush smaller. 3%, and we can draw some straight lines between a few dots. And maybe here. And in the end, I will still add some gradient to the sky. So let's go to this layer here, set this to alpha lock. Let's change the color, take this purple one. Let's go back to the soft brush from a brushing, and with the brush size 30%, add this color to the top of the sky, like this. And this illustration is finished. Now we have to open the layers and group all of those layers. So swipe on them to the right, and now pick Group. Let's also turn off this reference here. Now we can close this group, and we can move it under the frame. So now this looks all good. Let's move on to the next illustration. Let's make a new layer on top of the frame. Change the color to this one. Go back to the monoline brush. Brush size 35. And again, we are going to draw here a rectangle that will be the background for our new illustration. Let's color this inside. And let's make a new layer to start drawing our leaves. This will be very easy and loose drawing. Let's set this layer to clipping mask. And now let's change the color. Let's take this blue one here. We can change the brush. Let's go to inking and pick Studio Pen. And with the brush size 42%, we can start drawing a simple leaf shape like this. Let's color this inside. And we can change the color. Let's pick this one here. And draw another leaf somewhere here. If you want, you can draw different shapes of the leaves. You can be creative here. Now let's add some texture to those leaves. So let's set this layer to alpha lock. And maybe we can use this color. Let's pick the brush with some texture. Let's go to charcoals. And here I'm going to pick burnt tree. My brush size will be 31. And I will just color the whole leaf like that. Now let's change the color for another leaf. Let's take this one. And we can change the brush, make it different texture. Let's go to artistic and pick hearts. Here I'm going to make the brush opacity 80% and the brush size 36%. And I will color this leaf. Okay, now let's make a new layer to draw some other leaves. Set this to clipping mask. We can change the color. Let's take this one. Go back to the Studio Pen and draw a leaf somewhere here. Let's color this inside, and I actually want this leaf to be behind the other one, so I'm going to move the layer down here. And now let's set this to alpha lock so we can add the texture there. Let's pick this color. Let's change the brush. Now let's go to drawing and pick Murilla. And with the brush size 30%, color the whole leaf like this. We can maybe add another color there. Let's take this one. And now let's change the brush. Let's go to materials. And here we can pick Glover. Let's make the brush size 13%. And again, draw over that leaf. Okay, let's draw one more leaf, make a new layer on top of everything. Set this to clipping mask. And for this one we can take maybe this color. Let's go back to the Studio Pen. And draw a similar leaf shape. Color this inside. And now let's change it to alpha lock to add the texture. Let's take maybe this purple color. And let's change the brush. Let's add some splatters there. So let's go to the spray pens and pick flicks. My brush size will be 30%, and I will just color the leaf like that. And now maybe we can add some other color there. Let's take this one. And let's change the brush. Let's take splatter. Brush size will be 36%. And add some more texture there like this. Okay, so now the leaves have textures. Maybe let's add the texture also to the background. So let's tap on this layer here and set it to alpha lock. Let's change the color to this one. And now for the brush, let's go to industrial and pick this one, concrete block. With the brush size 41, color the whole background like this. And let's add another texture there. Change the color for this to something darker, this one. And now let's go to painting and pick fresco. My brush size will be 39 and I will just stamp it like this. Okay, now we can add some ink on top of the leaves. Let's make a new layer on top of everything. Set this to clipping mask. And first I'm going to add some white spots on one leaf. So let's take the white color. Let's go back to the studio pen. And just draw some dots like this, make them irregular. Okay, this will be enough. And now we can take black color. And we can go back to the monoline brush. Let's make the brush very small. Let's go all the way to the 1%. And now just outline the leaves and add some details inside of them. And here I want this illustration to be loose, so I'm not going exactly on the lines of the leaves. I think this will make it look nicer. I will also outline the dots like this. I'm not being precise. And for every leaf, I will have different design. So here's when you can have some fun and just think of some different designs. Maybe at the end I will still add some white details. Let's make a new layer for this. Set it to clipping mask and I will move it under the layer of the inking. Let's take the white color and let's change the brush. Maybe let's take chalk. And with the brush size 43%, I will just draw here under those lines. And maybe I'll add some more dots on this leaf. I'm going to change the blending mode of this layer. Let's set this to overlay. And turn down the opacity to 74%. So this illustration is finished. We can group all the layers. And we can move it under the frame. Let's move on to the next drawing idea. This will be really fun and easy. Make a new layer on top of the frame. Let's change the color to this one. And I'm going to draw some peaches here. I will be using here my Posca brush set. If you are interested in it, the link is in the description. But if you want, you can use here any other brush that you like. So for the background, I will use Posca wet brush. With the brush size 61%, I'll just color the whole space like this, creating that rectangle. Okay, and now let's make a new layer on top of this. And this one I will not set to clipping mask. I'll be just making sure I'm not going outside of that frame. And for the peach, I'm going to pick this color. Here I'm going to use the Posca basic brush, and with the brush size 37%, I'll draw a peach shape like that. And I'm going to color this inside. I'm going to try to draw this like I would do it traditionally, so I'll try to limit the layers I will use. So now on the same layer I'm going to add some shadow here. I'll take this color. I'll just make the brush size smaller, 21%. And I'm going to add shadow on the bottom side and on the right side of the peaches. Now let's take the white color for the highlight. And we can also add on this layer the outline. Let's take this orange color for that. Let's make the brush size smaller, 15%. And just outline the peach like that. Okay, and for the leaves I will make a new layer. I will take this color here, the dark green one, and I'm going to draw simple leaves like that. Let me just make the brush size bigger, 24%. So I'm just going to draw a few leaves around the peaches. And maybe one more here, behind the other one. Okay, on the same layer let's add a shadow there. So let's take this color and draw it under the peaches and also on the bottom and right side of the leaves. And now let's do the outline for the leaves. Let's take this light green color. Let's make the brush size smaller, 10%. And just outline the leaves, like that. So now this is finished, we can add the paper texture to this illustration, make it more fun. Let's make a new layer for this. And here I'm going to use my brush with the texture. So I will take the black color and I will use this one, paper texture number 2. My brush size will be 26% and I will just color this whole space like that. And I know I'm going outside of the frame, I'll fix it in a moment. I'm just going to use the selection tool. And with the rectangle option and color field turned off, I'm going to select the rectangle like this. I'm going to pick here invert. And now in the actions menu, I will pick cut. So now the paper texture is not outside of the frame. Let's change the blend mode of this layer. Let's set this to overlay and turn on the opacity to 54%. Okay, let's group all the layers and move them under the frame. it's time for the last illustration, a very simple landscape. Let's make a new layer on top of the frame. Let's change the color. For the sky, let's pick this one. And we can use here the selection tool with the rectangle option and color field turned on to select the rectangle like this. Let's tap here to finish now. Let's add some gradient to this sky. Take this color now. And we have to set this layer to alpha log first. And now we can use the selection tool again to draw a rectangle somewhere here, like that. Let's tap on it to finish. And let's add maybe one more color there. Take this color, orange one. And again, let's use the selection tool to draw a small rectangle here at the bottom. Now let's blur this to create a nice sky. So let's go to the adjustments and pick Gaussian blur. And swipe your pencil on screen to the blur size. And I'm going to make it 41%. So now the sky is finished. We can start adding some trees. Let's make a new layer for them. And here I will use this purple color. And for the brush, let's go to organic and pick this one, Snow Gun. With the brush size 15%, you can draw simple trees like that. Now let's change the color. Maybe we can use this green one. Let's draw smaller trees in the foreground. And now let's open the layers. And we have to set this to clipping mask. And we can add new layer to draw some trees in the back. Let's move this under the other trees. And we can change the color. Let's take this dark purple one. Let's make the brush size smaller, 9%. And draw some trees on this side. Taller trees. And we can also add this color behind the other trees to fill the spaces. Now we can add some stars to the sky. Let's make a new layer for this. Let's move it under the layer of the trees. And let's pick the color. Take this one here. And here I'm going to pick my stars brush. You can download it for free, link is in the description. And with the brush size 7%, I'm just going to add few stars in the sky. And now we can add here the electricity lines, the poles. Let's make a new layer on top of everything. And let's take this dark color here. For this, maybe let's use the monoline brush from calligraphy. And with the brush size 35%, draw a straight line like this. Hold your pencil on screen, and now you can put your finger here to make this vertical. And now at a small angle, draw two small lines here on top, and a little line here like this. And now for the second one, we can make the brush size a little bit smaller, 25%, and let's draw it somewhere here. And now we just have to connect those with the lines. Let's take a little bit different brush. Take this one, technical pen, and with the brush size 12%, draw arcs like this, connecting those poles. I'm just going to move this down. I'll use the arrow tool. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and now we just have to group those layers and move this under the frame. And now at the end, let's change the color for the frame. let's go to this layer. And here I'm going to pick the select. And I have here color fill option turned on. And I can change the color to white. And now all the 4 drawings are finished. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and please let me know which drawing is your favorite. I also hope you can share a drawing with me on my Instagram, I would love to see it. And now I have a special shout out to my big fan supporters on Patreon. Thank you so much for being there with me. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video, bye!